All right, hello, online world. This is Off the Record with Migs.
And Cheska, and we are continuing our little preview heading towards the UAAP season just around the corner. But before that, Off the Record is now on ABS-CBN Sports.
Follow at ABS-CBN Sports on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And as we mentioned, we are continuing our preview of the UAP season 85. We've talked to the ones like from Adamson, from UP, NU, and UST. And for tonight, of course, we will talk to one of the, how should I say it? Maraming mga adjectives to describe this basketball program. One of the winningest basketball programs in recent memory when it comes to the UAAP. And for tonight, we are very honored and lucky to be joined by the maestro himself from the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Walang iba kundi si Coach Tab Baldwin. Coach Tab, hello.
Hi, how you guys doing? Migs, Jessica, good to see you again.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Coach. We know how busy you are.
Appreciate it, Coach. Just a few days away from your first game in season 85, Coach Tab. Just can you tell us about the preparations for season 85?
You know, it's been very short, very intense. We've came right out of season 84 at the end of May. The final exams for the players, so you know that was really their break, is final exams. The coaches got a few weeks where we could kind of refresh ourselves, but the players were straight back into it in early June. Unfortunately, you know, our team went through a period of a lot of COVID hit us in June and July, and we were down in numbers. Plus, we also had some pretty significant injuries, with Ange Kouame still recovering from his knee problems, and Matthew Daves and Forsky Padrigal, both of them out for extended periods of time. So we have very disrupted buildup, I guess you'd say. The last month or so has been pretty solid. And we sprinkled in, of course, a couple of international tours over to Japan and also to Israel. And we got some good games, some good training, some good experience. But what we really lacked was a lot of exposure to our UAAP opponents. And I think we're going into the season 85 a little bit underdone in terms of our preparation against our primary opponents. But, you know, something has to give in these short build-up times. And, you know, everybody is suffering in one way or another from the pandemic effect. And I guess this is how it's affecting our UAAP programs.
Coach, you mentioned Japan and Israel, and then you also mentioned in another interview that, you know, not being able to join local tournaments prior to the UAAP may come back to bite you a little bit. How do you make up for that when other teams have gotten a taste of what to expect once the UAAP season starts?
Well, you know, there's always give and take in your preparation priorities, especially when your time frames are condensed. You know, so you have to pick and choose. And at Ateneo, I think the international tours have always been important to us. Of course, we're blessed with the ability to do those through the support of Boss MVP and the university. But we take the view that, you know, the cultural development of our players is just as important as their basketball development. And the opportunity to go to Israel and visit the Holy Land was something significant for our program and for our players. So unfortunately, what had to give was proper preparation in terms of our exposure to the UAAP opponents. And the way you compensate is you just try really hard to prepare for each game as you face them. And, you know, a lot of burden for that goes on our assistant coaches and ultimately gets dumped on the shoulders of our players to adapt very quickly to each opponent as we face them. And we hope that we are capable of doing that, and we hope we don't suffer too much. But you know, it's not ideal. But whose is in the post-pandemic era?
Coach Tab, what would be the biggest takeaway for Ateneo in season 84?
It's really hard to try to learn lessons from a scenario that you're probably not going to face again. And by that, I mean, we had a very, very short preparation for season 84. And we had a very condensed playing schedule. So we're not going to face that again. And I think what we suffered from in season 84, and I don't think that I did a good job of this, was gauging how to prepare for each game given, really no practice time between games. And I think our team throughout the course of season 84 probably got worse, whereas a lot of teams did a better job of understanding the condensed format and improved throughout the course of the season. And of course, we had a season where we didn't lose a game until the last game of the second round. And then we lost, I think, 3 of our next 5 games, all of those to UP, who obviously got better throughout the season. Now, I don't know if you can learn from that format when you're not going to face that format again.
Right.
But certainly the awareness of, making sure that you're on an incline through the season in terms of the improvement of your squad and the preparedness for each game rather than a decline in your fitness, in your adaptations to the opponents. That's what we have to take away. So prioritizing those things is probably the lesson. How we do that would be different than how we even tried to do that in season 84.
When you talk about prioritizing, coach, because again, the preparation window was just so much shorter than what you guys are usually used to. What was the number one priority in terms of preparing for this season?
We put a lot of emphasis on game scouting and making adjustments to each opponent. And of course, we thought that was, the right formula. But what I think happened to us is, from a skill standpoint and from a fitness standpoint, we declined because we didn't put work into individual preparedness. I think we put too much focus on team preparedness for each game. And so by the time we got to the end of the season, we had situations like Ange Kouame's knee wasn't good. We had other players who probably, were playing limited minutes, and because they were doing that and not getting hard practices during the week because it was game, post-game workout, recovery, pre-game, and then right into the next game, because that was our schedule. We didn't probably do a good job making sure that all of our roster was increasing their fitness levels and continuing to work on their skill sets. And I think UP's pressure and performance under pressure in the playoffs, and again, you have to remember that it was just splitting hairs between the two teams. It was just a little bit better than ours, and in the end, they made the shots. We broke down in some of our principles and maybe our fitness, playing players extended minutes because of the playoff pressure. And, it's hard to find exactly what was the difference when the difference was so fine, but that's what our coaching staff has identified, and we can't let that happen again.
Right. Upon, taking all in this discussion about preparedness, about fitness, about, pacing the schedules, because Coach Tab, practically there were like 3 games a week and there was a very compressed schedule. But right now I'm reviewing the season 85 schedule. More or less it veered away from that, but you still have Wednesdays where all of the teams play, and Saturdays and Sundays you have 2 games apiece. Two games per day rather. It's still a 2 games per week more or less. So does that really make a difference, you think? Will that make a difference?
I think it makes a huge difference in terms
Right.
of preparation. It makes a huge difference because, I've scrutinized that whole issue, very closely, and I've sat down with the coaches and we've discussed it at length. And we're taking here we go again. I've had a hard look at the EuroLeague teams and how they prepare because they work on a 2-game-a-week schedule. So they have a midweek, a weekend game. And, they break things down into a game day, post-game, or game day plus 1 day. And then it's either game day plus 2, or depending if it's Sunday, Wednesday, then it becomes a game day minus 1 for your next game. And how you schedule your priorities for each of those types of days. So now we're looking at all the facets of preparation, which are skill, fitness, scouting report, and your own system development. And so now we're working a schedule that takes all those things into account. And hopefully we're not missing anything, and taking this sort of tried and tested approach that I've learned from our EuroLeague counterparts who have exactly the same schedule. Hopefully we will get a benefit from that. It's always an education. Anytime you
Right.
stop learning, you should get out of it or die, I guess. But for me, I never stop learning, and I never stop getting lessons from my opponents. And UP and Coach Goldwyn gave us some lessons last season, and we would be foolish if we didn't learn from those. If we were too arrogant to say, "Oh, it was just bad luck," or "they hit tough shots," it's not that way. There are lessons to be learned.
Okay. And here we go, Coach. We told you that we had a little segment called Fast Break. Just a little lightning round. We throw out a question.
Fun.
First answer that pops into your head, please feel free to throw that out. So here we go.
Right. All right.
First up.
Coach, yes, Coach
Dangerous.
Tab. No, it's not going to be dangerous. Don't worry.
You're talking about my head. That's the dangerous territory. And
Coach, I will start.
Gotten me in trouble far more than it hasn't. So
We don't want to get you in trouble, Coach. We don't want to
Let's
get you
be
in
careful.
trouble.
No,
Yes. Well, thank you for that, Coach Tab. No, it's not gonna be like that. It's gonna be just chill, Because,
Yes.
Coach, my first question would be: I know that this is your mantra with your team, Bebop. For the ones that do not know yet, what does it stand for? What does it really mean for your team?
it stands for Blue Eagle Band of Brothers. It comes from Shakespearean literature, and it really embodies what we as a team want to do in terms of sacrificing for one another. There's a line that comes out of that play that said, "He who sheds his blood for me shall be my brother." And so that is very much how we want to approach our interaction with one another and our commitment to one another.
Okay.
You may
Next
have
natin.
touched on this a little early. You may have touched on this a little bit earlier, but biggest lesson from last season.
Be prepared. Be prepared the right way, and a game is never over until it's over. Dropping 2 5-point leads in the last minute of 2 games is inexcusable, and our coaching staff feels terrible about that because we feel we didn't help our team in those situations enough. And we put that down to preparation.
Coach Tab, just to add on to that, is there anything that you're excited for this season?
Absolutely. Working with a new team, we have a lot of new players. This is going to be a great experience for these new players. It feels very fresh. I certainly miss, Rafi and Tyler and Mamu and Jolo and SJ and, the guys that we lost. But they're replaced by, outstanding young men that we love going to battle with. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of lessons learned. It's going to be tough. But this is what we live for, and we can't wait to get started.
Okay, the next question was supposed to be players your school will be missing. So you already mentioned them. So we're going to move on to from your team and from a rival team, player to watch out for.
For my team, I think, I'm not going to single players out. I think everybody has to step up, and you never know how things develop over the course of a season. Injuries and players evolve. So, I'm expecting a lot from all of our players and hopeful that they will respond. Certainly, when you look at other rosters, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Kevin Kimball, features this year for LaSalle. He's had a good stint with Gilas, and I think a lot is expected of him, and he'll be playing alongside Michael Phillips, who I think was really one of the new stars of the season last year, and that LaSalle team is exceptional, I think, in terms of their talent. They have Raven Cortez, another new player, so he and Kevin are going to be, a handful. Obviously, the UP squad
Raven.
with Carl Tamayo and those guards that give me nightmares, and Kagalanan and Abajano. Those two names, I couldn't even say them at the beginning of last year, and then they've given me nightmares since then. But I think also Jerome Lastimosa, at Adamson, he's going to be, a great player to watch this year. Torres from FEU is an elite shooter. And the whole NU team, I think Jeff Napa is the star of the NU team. I think the way he gets those guys ready to play and their toughness, you just know you're going to come out beaten and bruised when you play against that team. And so, it's going to be a great season, but obviously our focus right now is on Coach Olson and his FEU team. And 8 years in a row, they've been a playoff team. Nobody has that kind of record, and that means you're in for a tough game because they're going to be there or thereabouts the whole season.
Now, Coach, obviously, for UAP fans, Ateneo fans, they're familiar with Ange Kwame, Dave Ildefonso, of course, SJ Belangel, GM Amuyak have already gone to the pros. But for the ones that want to get familiarized with the Ateneo lineup, I've been seeing this on my timeline. For some reason, I have so many Ateneo friends, and they've been raving about this name, Kai Balungay. What's he like? What is his game? Or anybody else that are maybe new additions to your roster that to get excited about for Ateneo fans?
Well, I think Kai is, he was a heavily sought after recruit, and we were really fortunate that he chose our program. He's a 6'6". I guess you'd call him a high flyer. He has great athletic ability, plays above the rim at times. He's a good rebounder. He can shoot the perimeter three. But Kai has to adjust to the UAAP, and I think that first few games won't be easy for him. He's got a little bit of a target on his back. People saw him in the MBTC tournament, and he played well there. So I think he'll be singled out by other teams, and they will learn about him probably more quickly than he will learn about the UAAP. And this is, again, where not playing these teams might be a problem for a player like Kai and another player, Paul Garcia, who we took out of Maryland, who will be featuring at the guard position. But I think some familiar names who didn't get big minutes will be probably stepping up this year. Obviously, BJ Andrade, who you didn't mention, was our captain this year, and looked like we were going to lose him to the professional ranks, but he decided to rejoin us, and I think that's huge for us. But then there's also Fortsky Padrigal, who will probably start at the point for us. Josh Lazaro, who will
Blue
probably
Eagles.
start at power forward. Both of those guys will play bigger minutes this year. Gio Chu will be getting bigger minutes. Daves will be getting bigger minutes. So these are guys that have been in our roster for a couple of years, but we'll have to step up into featured roles this year, and we depend a lot on their ability to integrate and play, competitive and productive minutes.
Okay, for the next question, Coach, we just have to throw this out there that your name was a staple answer in this. So, on your end, who is the coach to watch out for, or coaches?
Gosh, I mean, you're not going to get me to single anybody out. I think my time in the UAAP, and this is no disrespect to the coaches that were there in the beginning. Certainly losing Aldenayo was tough for the UAAP because he's an excellent coach, and you see the job he's doing now with Converge and the PBA. But when you've got guys like Nash Rosella, Oslin Rosella, Goldwyn has come in and proven himself right off the back. Jeff Napa, excellent coach. I just think that the UAAP is rich in coaching development, in coaching talent right now. Derek Permarin over at LaSalle. All of these guys, they know what they're doing. They get preparation time. They develop their teams well. You take your pick. I think that we're blessed in the UAAP. And I think the players in the UAAP are blessed right now with the quality of coaches. And, I know going into every game that the chess match is real. It isn't checkers
Mm-hmm.
anymore, it's chess. And, I know these guys are planning and plotting. And if we're not doing our job as a coaching staff, we will be potentially part of the problem for our team. And we don't want that to happen.
Right. Just to jump off from that, now it's really a chess match. Coach, just a little bit of context. The coaches that we've interviewed prior to this episode, all of them said that it's really going to be a tight way to the Final Four
Yeah.
compared to last season, with no disrespect to other teams. But now it's really going to be tight, at least for the 6 teams that can be there in the mix. Right now, Coach Tab, just wanna play around a bit with your thoughts on this, not necessarily from Ateneo, just
Yes.
from your
Anything.
basketball perspective. What would be the most exciting player matchups that a basketball fan should watch out for?
Again, I'd go back to, maybe a Carl Tamayo, Kevin Kimball. They played together in high school.
Mm-hmm.
There was that will be interesting to watch. And I think they played together, but now they'll probably play the same position against one another. And that could be fun to watch. I think Michael Phillips and anybody that tries to keep him off the offensive boards is going to be very interesting to watch. I think that he's one of the biggest handfuls in the UAAP since Anj Kawami came in, and we're hoping Anj can, play at a high fitness level. We're going to have to be careful with his minutes and his load with his knee. But I think Anj Kawami, Michael Phillips matchup, Anj Kawami, Malik Diouf matchup will have some feeling from last. I think that's going to be very good. I think Nelly and anybody that Nelly Lastimosa matchup will be very interesting. There's a lot to pick from, and the UAAP is always blessed with very good players. But I think the coaches are getting more sophisticated, and I think a lot of the offensive systems you're going to see now are not the typical give the ball to a guy and let him go one-on-one. I think that is being phased out. So I think now you're going to see more sophistication in offensive systems, and I think that's great. As a coach, I think it's going to be now, a little bit more coaching matchups that are going to be intriguing for the knowledgeable basketball fans.
I'm excited for that. All right.
All right.
How are you preparing now against FEU? That will be your first game.
Look, we've got, some video from their Phil Oil and how they played in the preseason. But we know the regular season is a new kettle of fish. And but it gives us some ideas, and it's going to give our players some ideas about their individuals and a little bit about the systems that they're running. But, we know Olsen is very good at adapting. So, a lot more focus has to be on us right now and polishing our systems off and going into the season with confidence in how we play, and then being able to adapt to what confronts us, with his team and how they play in the first game. We're not entirely sure what their defensive pressure will be. We're not entirely sure what their pace of play will be. And we have some ideas, but this is going to be a dance in the first game, and we'll be feeling each other out, I think, through the first quarter and seeing how it goes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a wrap.
Before we let you go, Coach, do you have a message to the community? Because again, I'm sure everyone is excited to see you guys take on the court in this coming season of the UAAP.
Well, not just to, our Ateneo fans and alumni, but, to all the UAAP fans, life is returning to normal. And we have the opportunity, and you have the opportunity to come join us in the stadium, sit in the stands, and create that UAAP environment that so many of us have enjoyed, so many of us are looking forward to, and certainly the players, they gain, an extra arm and an extra leg, in terms of energy and motivation when the fans are there. And so please come along and bring your drums. I'm all for it. And, make the noise and let's enjoy this environment and have a great season ahead with our fans, with our universities. And, obviously I wish everybody health and safety and God bless to everybody.
God bless, Coach. Maraming
Guys,
maraming
I
salamat.
got I got chills when he said bring your drums, and in my head I
Yeah.
could hear oh, I'm so excited. But anyway.
So excited. School Spirit is once again here. UAP Season 85 preview, Ateneo Blue Eagles, and catch Ateneo and FEU on Sunday. Once again, maraming salamat. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Coach
so much,
Tab.
Coach Tab.
Good luck. Stay safe, God bless, and of course, injury-free for your team. Thanks, Coach Tab.
Yes.
Very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Coach. All right. Thank you, Coach Tab. We
There you
appreciate it.
go.
There you go. All right. So once again, this has been our UAP preview guest requests, OTR Mix Cheska, Facebook, Instagram. Follow at ABS-CBN Sports, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, we air Tuesdays and Fridays, 9 p.m. on ABS-CBN Sports YouTube channel. So once again, this has been Off the Record with Migs.
And Cheska, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.